Hello everyone, Satsangat Astrology here. I am back with another video, and this time is to talk about the protagonist of the second half of the year, which is Mars. I will add all the dates for the transit of Mars in the description box below. So please refer to that and consider if you have planets conjuncting those degrees where Mars will be active. But in general, I will talk about the different aspects that Mars will do. It's plenty of activity. Believe me, it's going to be a very active second half of the year. So I'm ready then to share my screen with you and do a presentation about Mars in Aries. Okay, so here is all the contact information. If you like my videos, please subscribe and support me. I have a blog that I write once in a while now, but you can follow me daily in MeWe, Tumblr, Facebook, and I also have a yoga channel where I am posting a class every Thursday. So if you feel these videos are valuable to you, I ask you to please donate. Any amount will be helpful. Mars in Aries just moved in June 27th, 2020. And will stay there for 6 months, something that is unusual because usually Mars lasts transiting one sign just 6 weeks. So this will be pretty active Mars transit, since it will activate all kinds of energies that preceded, like previous eclipses and conjunctions, etc. So let's dive in and review what is Mars. So Mars, the positive traits of Mars are the yang energy, right? It's the dynamic male energy that gives motivation, is the driving force for survival, right? Because it's the survival fire in us that helps us take initiative, that gives us drive to do things. It correlates to the birth, right? Because it rules Aries, which is the baby of the zodiac, right? So it is also associated with the male hormones, the muscles, sports, military activity, metals, hard work, heavy machinery, and heavy work, right? Manual, forceful work, like metallurgy, surgery as well. It is associated with any bladed weapons, knives, scalpels. So this is the positive kind of energy, but it also, as all the planets and all the energies, can be also negative and destructive. So in the positive side, it is constructive. It gives us courage, enthusiasm, the fire to enterprise. It is also defensive if used properly. And in the yang energy presents itself as gallantry. So the negative part of it is that it could be combative. It is associated with bad temper, destruction, lust, passions that are unbridled, impulsiveness, audacity, egotism, coarseness also, conflicts, fights, battles, arguments, and even war, right? Aries, Mars is then in his own home of Aries, from, as I said, June 27, 2020 to January 5th, 2021. And it will be retrogrades from September 9th to November 14th this year. So most of the contacts that Mars will make will be repeated 3 times, which is it's a lot. It's really a lot. Okay, Aries as the sign is spontaneous, confident, courageous. It is very direct and energetic. It could be the leader, the pioneer, adventurous, and it's very independent and determined. And it could be innovator too, because Aries is a cardinal sign. It is fire. The element is fire, and is also masculine. So, but on the negative side, it could be forceful, explosive, you know, forthright, and assertive, selfish sometimes, and it can be insensitive as being too much direct. So it could be impatient, impulsive, quick-tempered, and quarrelsome, very frontal. If you see the ram charges ahead in a burst of energy, right? It might not be able to hold to the energy for a long time, because, you know, like the start in the car, right? You ignite with a key, you ignite the engine, but that energy is not enough to keep it running. So that is the kind of Aryan energy. It is different from the sign of Capricorn, where the other planets squaring will be. So Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is Kronos, the god of time, aging, death. It's also becoming an adult and responsible, aging and dying, right? Capricorn gives form to reality. Capricorn is the sign that creates structures and give form to things. So it is the sign that really determines and defines the boundaries of reality in the physical realm. So creates systems, right, and structures that connect different elements in order to form a system. It also rules traditions, the status quo, rules, limits. In Capricorn, we are ambitious, we may be calculator, cold, steady, and there is a high degree of permanence, right? Think of walls, the wall of China, for example, the Roman aqueducts, Roman churches that have thousands of years and they're still standing. So in castles, ancient castles, for example, mountains, things that really are sturdy and heavy weighting, because they are formed to last. So in in society, for example, it's associated with industry, with the big infrastructures of society or civilization as well. It's also associated with protection in society, like rules, regulations, and laws that are designed to keep people living together in peace or relatively safe. So it includes the society conventions, agreements that are made in order for us to live in a civilized environment. So, but it's also a reality check. So it is also great efforts, work hard, and it could be the lack mentality, adversity, and scarcity, austerity as well. So this is a general descriptions to introduce the aspects that Mars will make to 3 different planets in Capricorn, mainly Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, right? They are almost together. In fact, technically, they are they are conjuncted, and it's a small stellium, which not so small in importance, right? It's very, very important. So Mars in Aries will square Jupiter in Capricorn. These are the dates: August 4th at 19 degrees, then retrograde. That's why I put the dates in red. Those are the dates when Mars will be retrograde, and that will be 19 degrees again. And then in January, it will be already in Taurus, and Jupiter will be in Aquarius, but that will be another square. So let me talk a little bit about these aspects that are very conflicting and very hot. So August 4th, pretty soon. And August 4th at 19 degrees, it will reactivate the lunar eclipse in Cancer at 20 degrees that happened on January 10th, 2020. And so I will refer you to review the news at that time, and you will find the themes that will be touched again with this square in August 4th. So those news that happened in January will be back, and they will be triggered again. I'm not going to mention them here, but I'll let you go and investigate, because that will be very revealing for what it may happen around the date of August 4th. In fact, you might have already felt the powerful energy that Jupiter increases in Mars, right? Mars is all impetus, and Jupiter is there to make it bigger. So you might have already felt a great surge of energy, maybe physically, or motivation, that you feel this motivation to do things, and that is already Mars square Jupiter in operation, because they are approaching the square. And we are about a week or so away from the exact square. So you may feel increase in the strength, physical strength, powerful initiative, impulsive actions, that are bigger than life, things that you wouldn't have thought of doing maybe a month ago. Now you gather all that energy to do it. In fact, I went hiking yesterday, and I did a 5-mile hike in the sun, very hot, you know. And I mean, a month ago, I wouldn't have had the energy to do that. I was astonished myself having that kind of energy that usually I don't have. So I was kind of scared after that, because I thought, well, maybe tomorrow I will be all deflated. But no, I am perfectly fine. And actually, I gather even more energy to keep exercising today and going. So this can be ruthless aggression in all your activities. So there is now an internal fire that may be difficult to contain. So use moderation and self-control in order to use this excess of energy in an efficient way, right? That is not causing danger, right? Because if you feel very energized physically, you may exercise more than you should, and then you can injure yourself. So be careful also using heavy machinery like cutting tools, like if you use knives or bladed weapons. So be careful and don't be rushed into doing those activities. So also, as I said, be careful exercising too much, too forcefully, because you may injure yourself. For people who are very passive normally, this surge in energy can be productive because it motivates them to work harder and maybe longer, right? And have more endurance. Depending on where the two planets fall in your chart, your body may generate excessive heat or maybe fevers also. Mars, it's in square, it's not that good. So if you have aches and pains in your muscles, they may flare up. You feel really courageous in certain areas of your life, well, where Mars is. So look at the zodiac house occupied by Aries, and you will realize that your activity will be more intense there. Also, even though Mars can cause fever, the heat is also burning germs, you know. The fever is helpful to combat invasive agents in the body. It could be beneficial also. It depends how you use the energy, in fact. So if you're faced with antagonism or animosity, conflicts, arguments, or if you have to face an enemy of any kind, you may become more aggressive. So even some people may resort to violence. So there is a need to be careful and adopt probably a more defensive attitude instead of to avoid accidents or fights, you know, that you don't want to at this time. So this strong energy, though, is optimistic and enthusiastic. It may find you burning the candle at both ends. So doing things that you would normally not with a normal level of energy. So this is a really a boost of energy inside, especially physical energy. that could be exhausting. So use it in moderation in order to endure to the end. Because as I said, Aries doesn't hold the energy for a long time. So it doesn't have endurance. So if you use it in a moderate, at a certain pace, you can endure to the end. So in the mundane context outside in the world, this expansive use of controlling institutional structures may clash with individual interests and the urge to defend independence. So that's something that we may see in society and politics and in the economy and different areas, depending on how it functions for the society. You know, for example, every city, every nation has a chart, and it depends where Aries and Mars is transiting for them, how the energy will manifest. So in different places of the world, it will manifest in different ways. Hopefully is peaceful. So next, Mars will square Pluto. And here I depicted the Cyclops because really Pluto is an energy to reckon with. Mars in Aries will square Pluto in Capricorn August 13, and then retrograde October 9th, and then direct again December 23rd, right before Christmas. And this is super ultra powerful, I would say, energy in steroids, because Mars will be conjunct Aries, and this is the goddess of discord, which is the woman warrior, and she was Mars' sister. So this is a duo that is very independent, and it is self-driven, I would say. It would, if they fight in self-defense, or to protect their independence and their right to exist. So in square to Pluto, it may be facing higher than normal kind of energy. Now then the energy is amped up a notch or two. The aggressive Mars conjunct Aries is manipulated, coerced, forcibly pushed to action by the square to Pluto. And this time the anger only sees black and white, all or nothing, life or death. So people can easily get entangled into power struggles, be either subject to domination, fall victims of institutional control and authoritarian powers, or become the perpetrators of relentless violence or heinous crimes. So there's no middle way possible with Pluto. You know, Pluto is extremes in powers. Politics can become really nasty and even extremely polarized because Pluto operates on extremes. It is, as I said, black or white. It is, and I don't mean racial here. It's meaning that the opposition is completely polarized. And it's really extreme, opposite. In the mundane context, there could be terrorist attacks, violent crimes, or forceful use of military powers to repress people. And this, it could happen anywhere in the world. As I said, it depends on the chart of every country or city or place. So it doesn't mean that it's going to happen everywhere. It also may trigger volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, natural disasters, especially those that come from underneath the earth up. Because Pluto is the lord of the underworld, so things from the underworld may burst out, and also symbolically, figuratively, there could be revelations that were very well hidden that come out in the open because of the Mars-Pluto clash. Pluto is also resources that are inside the earth. So there might be discoveries of resources that are hidden in the earth. Any kind, I mean, I don't know, any kind of resources that are hidden and they might appear all of a sudden. Pluto was the Greek Hades, who was the lord of the riches of the underworld, right? Things that are hidden in the earth. Pluto is also associated with the atomic power, radioactivity, radiation, and chemicals capable of powerful reactions, you know, explosive, with Mars, explosive chemical reactions. So I really hope that all atomic energy generators in the world are under proper supervision and in good working order. We don't want another catastrophe of that kind. In your personal life, though, be aware of this incendiary force inside yourself in order to put it to constructive and productive activities. Like, for example, it is favorable to work with heavy machinery, power-driven tools, like drills and that kind of energy-driven tools. Also to make transformative remodeling work, for example, in home, business, or wherever. Even in society, it is favorable to construction, but a construction that is based on building on the old and making it new, like recycling, for example. Pluto is also the lord that rules over things that rot and transmute into something else. So I talk about recycling, composting, for example. So it could be a favorable time to enrich your garden soil with compost, for example. If you're out and about and not abiding by what is expected in society, you know, rules, regulations, you may have an encounter with authority figures, police, military, you know, rangers that will not be benevolent. So it's important to be careful to obey the rules and regulations, because you might be stopped, and not in a nice way. So I heard that here in the United States, the military was deployed to control in certain cities the safety and security. So hopefully it is peaceful. Hopefully it is peaceful. So next, then my advice is to use caution. Generally speaking, this is a good energy for many things, as I said, like, you know, enriching your garden soil with compost, recycling and things like that. But you need to be careful with any chemicals, for example, that may be hazardous, and also hazardous material, polluted. For example, make sure that you're not accidentally polluting food, for example, with any hazardous chemicals or things that are rot, for example. So it's just a caution to be careful. Then Mars will square Saturn, and these are the dates again. On August 24th, 2020. Oh, I wanted to point out with Pluto that, let me go back here. It's with Aries, but also at 23 and 22 degrees, Mars will be by square reactivating the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that happened January 12th, 2020, which unleashed the virus around the world and the pandemic. So we can expect some reactivation of that kind of energy. As I said, we don't know how this can manifest, but keep in mind that between 22 and 23 degrees was the conjunction that not only was Saturn and Pluto, Mercury and the Sun were already also there. And I think it was Pallas Athena or Ceres was there too. So the Earth and the Ceres is the goddess of the Earth and the fruits of the Earth. So there may be something that may also affect agriculture and the production of food that may be contaminated. It may be, I don't know, conflicts that may affect the food chain, the food supply. So things like that should be taken into consideration. If you participate in the economy, for example, in the area of food and food supply, take that into consideration. And these are the dates for the exact square, August 13 and October 9th, retrograde. Well, the retrograde is the time when the planet will revisit in kind of introspective mode, will revisit the energy and the events that might appear. So back again to Mars square Saturn. So these are the dates, and I want to tell you that August 24th and September 29th at 25 and 26 degrees, it is also squaring the July 16th, 2019 lunar eclipse. And that one happened at 24 degrees of Capricorn. 24 degrees of Capricorn. In fact, very close to the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that I just mentioned. So all that energy since July 16th will be revisited, reactivated. So I think July 16th, there was news of the impeachment of the President of the United States. And there was also news about trade with China and regulations of the trade. And you may want to review those news because they will come up to the fore again for, as I said, reactivation. And when Mars goes retrograde, there will be a reconsideration, review of those events. And even in your personal life, if you remember what happened middle of July last year, you may remember what happened, and those themes will come back for you to do something about it again. So the last date will be January 13, 2021, and that time Mars will be at 3 degrees Taurus, and Saturn will be at 3 degrees Aquarius. So Mars and Saturn are complete opposite, right? If Mars is initiative, then Saturn is tradition, status quo, things as they have always been, permanence and conserving energy, right? If Mars is aggression, Saturn is resistance. If Mars is desire, then Saturn is restriction of desires, even repression of actions as well. If Mars is independence, then Saturn will do retention, circumscription, and even patience, right? If Mars is impulsive, then Saturn is passive and very patient, right? If Mars is spontaneous, then Saturn uses strategy and calculation. And if Mars is anger or hate, then Saturn can be depression and retraction, inner retraction. If Mars has energy, then Saturn is mainly inertia. Imagine, for example, Saturn is associated with rocks and mountains and stones. So it's inertia. It doesn't mean that rocks are not moving and dynamic inside the chemistry, right, is moving, but as we physically perceive them, they are inert. But Mars is dynamic, is energy, is activity, right? So they are completely opposite, and when they square, they clash. So after the previous turmoil, now come the restrictions. You have a hard time using the surging energy of Mars because Saturn will restrict, will constrain. An authority figure, societal structures, political institutions, even your boss or your father will impose order, control, and suppress your actions. So your energy can be pent up in frustration. As I said, if you have a big surge of physical energy and you can't do anything about it, you can't exercise or work it out, then it may give you muscle pains, for example. But all activities have to wait for more favorable times. Patience is required now. But with the stimulus of Mars in Aries, it may mean that you're boiling inside. So once again, may I suggest spiritual practices, meditation, and probably a strong fitness program where you can spend all that energy in strenuous physical activity if possible. If it is not possible, then practice introspection and meditation in order to observe what is going on in your physical body. One way or another, try to spend that physically, I don't know, cleaning house or doing garden work or doing something that you are allowed to do. But many things you will be thwarted. For many things you won't be able to do. But there will be things that you can do. So use that energy on the things that you can. So if you exercise, please be careful because that kind of energy may result in bone fractures. Saturn rules the bones and Mars the muscles. So you may turn a muscle, you may break a bone if you are too excessive, because as I said, you are blocked. So you won't be able to do a lot. So practice a moderate exercise program. In the mundane context, though, this may mean that government structures and governmental authorities are implementing in order to contain, are implemented. So the structures and the limits and the authorities will be there to implement order, to contain rebelliousness, protests, aggressive people, or any use of extreme violence may be matched with extreme repression. So this is the picture of the second half of 2020. If you thought that you had an upheaval, wait and see. So I encourage people to go back to your spiritual practices, to use caution, to be courageous, but use strategy in order to do the activities that go to work and do the activities that you have to do, and have caution in everything that you do. So I hope this video is an orientation for you. If you feel that it is useful information, please support my channel by liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing my videos with your friends, families, social media. And you'll find more information in the box below on how to contact me if you need a personal reading. So thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best of the best. Be careful in everything that you do, and if you like to know where Mars is located in your birth chart, please don't hesitate to contact me or ask a question in the comments below. I will make my best to answer your questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.